Welcome to the Build Better Blueprint, the podcast where we discuss the foundations of real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Join Christian Cardamone as he shares insights, strategies, and stories that will empower you to level up your business, your lifestyle, and your impact. Let's build a better blueprint for success, starting now.
Hey, this is Christian Cardamone. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Better Blueprint. Today, I've got a real treat for you. A good friend of mine, Mr. Tony Johnson. Tony's the president, CEO, founder of Timeless Construction. They're a large-scale commercial contractor based in Wilmington, North Carolina. They focus on office, retail, industrial, development, just about everything under the sun, highway contracting, civil, anything construction-related you need in this genre. Tony's your guy. So, Tony, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. We spent the day yesterday at like a little Go Abundance retreat, had a great time, learned a lot from each other, really pushing each other. So I want to thank you for that. I didn't get a chance to do that, but definitely gave me some stuff to think about. So I want to thank you for that. But why don't we start off, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, kind of where you started, what led you to the current path of being the CEO of this monster company, man?
Yeah, big time. So I moved to Wilmington in 97 and, went to school here and graduated and then opened a business with some friends we had for a while. And while I was doing that, my brother was selling fireplaces and stone for a company in Raleigh and was making a killing in 2005, 2006. So I had a strong interest to get into the construction industry in some shape or form. And since he was doing material sales and making so much money, that drove me to start applying at material suppliers, ended up landing a position with 84 Lumber, and they have a great management training program, and I really grabbed onto that. They teach you every aspect for estimating and understanding all of the parts and pieces of building, and then how to do material takeoffs, product takeoffs. And so they taught you to understand the whole building envelope of homes and commercial buildings, how they're put together, all the parts and pieces, and how it's staged through the building process. So it was a great learning experience. And after I learned, I started selling building materials and was watching all these general contractors in 2006 and 2007 making millions of dollars, building spec home after spec home after spec home. It looked like the money would never stop flowing. So I was like, I've got to get in on this.
Yeah, dude.
So I went, I got my general contractor's license in 2007. And, I started to get it going late 2007, early 2008. And so right as I started getting this thing up and running, the market collapsed. I had a shift in thought. And so my sales job collapsed. Everything was collapsing. So I tried to figure out a path and to get the construction company going. We looked at government options. So I went after state construction projects, HUD. I reached out for bank connections because they were the ones that were taking over all the properties. In doing so, there was a lot of fallout. All the other contractors were going by the wayside because they were overextended or had been spending copious amounts of money, thinking that the gravy train was never going to end. So right when I got some small jobs in the beginning, and then it really started to do well. I got working at the colleges. So I worked at a local university called the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, a Cape Fear Community College, and the local school systems doing bid work on commercial projects. We did HUD housing rehabilitations for the city of Wilmington, and we worked for real estate agents doing cleanouts on properties. And then, that was the gist of what we focused on for the first 5 or 6 years because there was nothing else. And so it taught me a lot and had to get organized pretty quickly once I did a couple of these state projects because they required documentation, etc. So it helped me become a better business owner.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, man. That story just is so inspirational because starting, like we kind of came through the ranks at the same time. I went the real estate route, you went the construction route. And both of us, it was like you said, we saw it was the gravy train, fish are jumping in the boat. Next thing you know, then like the bottom drops out. It's like, wait a second, I just got here. And I just bought all this shit. Now I don't have any money to pay for it. So now you got to scramble. So like definitely cutting your teeth quickly and getting almost baptized by fire. The fact that you had like enough ingenuity to go and start pivoting quickly, looking into like some of the sure things like government contracting, real estate brokers who still did have business because some transactions were happening, just not as much volume. So trying to get like outside of the box, where can I go to get contracts and business is so forward thinking. And it's also just shows how some fortitude, because that's when, 9 out of 10 people in our industry both just kind of folded their tent at that point. So the fact that you just stuck through it, I think, and had that tenacity speaks volumes. And it's a clear indicator of why you are where you are today. So what was like the big breakthrough, the first big breakthrough? Because when you sit on the sidelines and you watch people in the genesis of their career, they always, start. And then when they hit that like hockey stick curve, it seems like Timeless, it started in my recollection, Timeless Properties, is the home builder. And then you guys just took this insanely sharp tick up, and, it came along with the beautiful rebranding. And you just, all of a sudden, I started seeing you guys signs on like huge projects. So what was that breakthrough moment that, or contract, or what happened, mindset, what checked that box to make you guys go that direction?
Sure. I appreciate that. So what I would say is, over the years with anything, I was the everything contractor. So you call me, you have to do something, I'm that specialist. Yeah. You want to build a house? Sure. I build houses. You want to do a renovation? Sure. I do renovations. You want to build a dock? Of course I build docks. Yeah. I don't care what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Anything that you wanted, that was my then specialty. So I was doing fire remediation, water remediation, remodels, everything. And so, I had our hands in everything. And what I was noticing is I was getting random calls. I was getting a bunch of basically the lower tiered opportunities. It was all the opportunities that were coming that nobody else was interested in doing. And I was watching some other builders come and they would go up really quick. And I was kind of stagnating. And so I started doing a lot of research on why was I stagnating. So there were a multitude of factors that were hampering our growth. We didn't have systems in place. I wasn't able to delegate anything. We were doing well, and we stayed on a growth. We grew year over year, 15%, 20%, every year we grew. And I was in growing, losing a life. Basically, all I did was work. I felt like I had to do everything. I had to close the deals. I had to do the estimates. I had to get the permitting done. I had to do all the things to get it done right because I was the only one that could do it. Then once I started learning how to write something and get someone to help me, and then take the time to show them how to do it, then I was able to kind of push that piece off and then focus on the next thing. And then as I began to do that, it becomes addictive. So you want to let go of this, let go of that, let go of this, let go of that. Then what I realized on top of those process and, operational things that were benefiting me, we were getting all these different types of calls. And I would have a project that was a year and a half long. Building a house took over a year, and I would make very low profit. And then I would have another job that would take me 3 months, and I would make more money on the project that took 3 months than I would make on the project that took 16 months. And so I was like, well, why do I want to keep doing these projects and take my manpower, take my time, take my energy? And those have a lot more client communication and a lot more hurdles, and it's very competitive. So what I did was I kind of narrowed down my focus on what do I like, what am I good at, what can, we get continual business pursuing, and how can we be the specialist in that market. And so as I've continued to detail that down, that's where we hit the hockey stick. So I basically stopped doing all residential. I stopped doing remodels. I stopped doing remediations. I stopped doing anything and everything except what I wanted us to focus on. It's very nerve-wracking to do that because you think, we're going to go out of business. So I had to aggressively pursue as much of that as possible and bring in help to aggressively pursue and get my team to buy in to, hey, we're going to get you have never done commercial to just do commercial. We're going to get you to, and so you have to build the team and find good people to build around you and delegate. And that's really what spiraled it. Now we've hit our groove. And then once we've now focused, now we've just built systems around that to grow and scale it.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's such, my next question was going to be about like your blueprint for success, but I was taking notes while you were talking and I think I just got it. I want to reiterate it and see if it's in line because every successful person follows some kind of a blueprint, and so you want to look for like what the key steps are, the strategies to help you get, where if you emulate someone who's already done what you want to do, a blueprint or a map, something like that, org chart helps. So what I heard was at first you say yes to everything. It's just, I'm an expert in this. I'm an expert in this, whatever you need. I can't believe you call me. This is exactly what I do. And I'm the best at it around. So,
yeah,
and then it's like, you obviously at a certain point, then you hit overwhelm. Like you said, you start to like lose your life. Basically, you run out of time. Then you start to realize that in order to buy back your time, you need to hire and delegate. So then you've got some support, still saying yes to everything. Then you identify what your top performers are, where you're putting the most amount of time versus the highest profit. So the 1.5 year long house that nets you maybe 50 grand versus the 6-week project that nets you maybe 70 grand. Okay, let's just focus on these top performers. Then it becomes a situation of managing your time and energy to identify the most amount of those. And then you start to say no to everything, basically, is what I heard. You're starting off going very, very, very wide and shallow. And then as you progress, that hockey stick point comes when you end up at a very narrow, but a very deep basis for clients and for work. Would you say that's a fair representation of your blueprint?
I would say that's a good broad spectrum on it of a blueprint. Yeah. And I mean, because the reality is, as you know, and I know, whenever you're starting out, you can't afford anybody else and you'll take whatever you can get to keep the company in business. Right. So this is it's a marathon, not a race. So anybody getting into business, it's a lot of work. You want to have a successful business. I mean, everybody knows the statistics, within 5 years, 95% of them are gone. Within another 5 years, another 95% of them are gone, right? So to make it the distance, you are going to work. There's no way around it. The last thing that a lot of times I hear people wanting to buy a business, get into business, and I'm going to buy this business. I'm going to get an operations guy. He's going to run the business and we're going to be successful. Well, yeah, that's never going to work. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? Yeah, let's just go buy this business. I'll get this guy in here. He's going to make all the money. Yeah, this person is just working for you to get a paycheck. You have to give them specific direction. You have to monitor and make sure they're progressing, make sure they know what they're doing, make sure they're basically putting into effect your vision for the company, following the steps and doing the culture that you want to do. You have to define all those things. It's so complex with business. It's hard to simplify it. The simplest thing is, so if I look at a blueprint, I start within. You want to understand yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? A lot of times you'll have a specialty contractor who's a great, let's say, plumber or a great electrician. And so he's working for a company. He's like, I'll go start a business. And then you're like, okay, this person is a great electrician. He'll do great, right? So he's a great electrician working, has no business sense, doesn't know how to run books, doesn't know how to do this. So he struggles and maybe never grows the business because he doesn't understand that's a weakness. And, you have to balance. So understanding your strength and then finding someone that makes up for your weaknesses. So that takes time and you need help. And it's, taking the time to put systems in place, but it's a slow process. I would always recommend anybody, if they're starting a business, if you have a job, keep the job, do the business and start it on the side. Keep it as quiet as you can till you get a little test run while you're working at a job that's producing something to make sure you survive. Only when you feel like you can make that leap, make the leap.
Yeah, that's great advice, man. I think a lot of people, as entrepreneurs, our you're into taking risks. You understand that the risk versus reward, but there's nothing wrong with being a smart and calculated entrepreneur and starting your venture. But it's that kind of adage of like, do you burn the boats, or do you keep one little rescue canoe over here in case you need to paddle back? They're different, like, schools of thought, but regardless of which one, there's no reason you don't have to shut down everything and turn off the lights just to start a new business. If you do keep that, it's just a more of a level of comfort. There's more of a level of ability to network, grow, and but producing income is it's an important thing. So to get rid of that big shovel, if you have it, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, you raise a good point too. There's a lot of folks in industry that are maybe great at swinging the hammer, but have no idea how to schedule a book or go out and generate new business. And so, those might be opportunities where someone who wants to buy a business could, if they could take over something like that, because that's where I think that's the difference between a good business and a great business, is something that's just operating, that's going to continue to just be maybe a solopreneur or a 2 or 3 man team where they get the phone rings, they go out, they do the job, and they could become wildly successful. But in order to really take it to the next level, you got to do kind of what you said, where you're able to build the big picture, the actual org chart, all the roles, cast a vision big enough to include everyone else's dreams and financial goals, and then also have that culture that will keep them there and help everyone support each other and grow. So I think that's probably one thing that that stands out to me that Timeless has just done a great job with, man. Seeing it yesterday too at your office, and then that friggin' monster chart that you showed us, it's clear that you cast a huge vision, and it's big, dude. So hats off to you, man. What do you think, success like that doesn't come without setbacks. And obviously we all have learned along the way. Kind of you and I got a lot of our setbacks and failures kind of like right at the beginning of our career. Have you had any major setbacks since then, or big kind of failures, or something you've taken some lessons from, and how did you overcome those?
I haven't had any huge losses, thank goodness. And I am more cautious and more slow than many people. There are a lot of people that, have achieved wealth a lot younger than me, because I've taken it slow and watched the people that survive long term with wealth. I've done a lot of research, and it's progressive. There's no rush. I am considered old in day to day, I would say, because I'm 48 years old. But in business, I'll work till I'm 70. So I've got plenty of years to just continue to grow. So I'm in no rush to break earth-shattering time to get to where I want to go. I have clear financial goals of where I want to go, but plenty of time to get there. So I think being patient is very difficult. Watching when the market is good to invest in and not. But what I would state to where have I made mistakes, I used to get very upset when I would try and do a project and then not get a project and lose it. I would invest all this time and energy in getting a project, or, so I would spend weeks pricing a project, working with a client. I would draw designs for free for clients and sit with them over hours and hours to try and get a project. And then to lose the project, someone come and sweep it out from under me for just less money. Right. So so each time it really upset me. I would get down on myself, and then I would question, is there something wrong with me? What am I not doing? And instead of really learning, and through the years, what I began to do was, each time I lost a major project, I would start writing down who got the project, why did they get the project, what could I have done differently to change the situation. Now, there are plenty of projects in any industry, just like when you're buying real estate, it's a money only. There are people that want to sell property, and they'll take whatever dollar amount is the highest, right? So just like with building, there are people that are going to take whatever dollar amount is the lowest. You can tell these people that want the highest dollar, these people aren't going to close. They can't get financing. Just like you can tell somebody when you're doing a project, they're the lowest. They're not including everything. They're not going to give you the same thing as me, because it's not an apples to apples comparison. I'm a cash offer. This person's got financing that's not going to come through because it's not going to appraise, right? All comparable with real estate and me getting construction projects. It's all the same. So then you have to define, why did I lose? What could I have done differently? What did I not do properly that I could do better the next time? And if you start and take one lesson and learn a lesson from each one of those setbacks, then you become one notch stronger each time.
Yep.
And so that's where you start to become unbeatable, because then over time, you're going to go ahead and hedge all of those things on the way through. And then you're not going to get every project. You're not going to get every real estate deal. You're going to get the correct real estate deals. You're going to have a seller that's had a piece of property in their family for 2 generations that wants it to go to the right person that's going to sell it to you for 15% less than they would get from someone else, because they know you're going to take care of the property. They know that your vision for the property and the property is going to be taken care of, because these people have their blood, sweat, and tears in this property for your life, right? Or when I'm building for someone, I'm not building for somebody that's looking to put the least amount of money into it and flip it. That's not the client for me. The client for me is the one that wants to have the showpiece that's going to hold on to the piece of property or the space for the next 10 years. And they want it to hold up, not have issues, and be functional. And it's theirs, that they're going to live in, occupy, have their business out of, and want to be proud of it. That's the client for me. So, I always tell customers, I'm not going to be the cheapest, but I'm also going to be upfront, honest with everything that I do. And so, if you're the right client, I'm the right builder, right? And, maybe we don't align, and there's a reason we don't align. And a lot of times after I lost those projects, I would go back and look at what was produced by the other person, or I would see the issues that went just from a visual, or the person would come back to me after on their next project and tell me the horror story, what they went through. So all of these things over years and years, you start to realize that, as long as you're learning something and you stay on the proper path and you hold to your core values, everything will continue to grow and progress as long as you stay true to what you are.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. But the first thing you have to do is define your core values and have those at a place where you can constantly, revisit them, so to the point where they're not just like something that you just write down as some sort of platitude. They have to be ingrained in you. And then you're right. You're wise to go back and even, you can learn the most from some of the jobs that you don't get. And I've had experiences where if I do, like an exit interview with like a listing I didn't get or something like that, or a client I wasn't able to close, and you go back and you ask for that, well, do you mind, congratulations on this project, wish you a lot of success. Is there something I could have done better? Is there something I could have done differently? Or if I'm picking up where someone got fired and left off, I want to know, what weren't you happy with this project? Or what did the last broker do that or they didn't do enough of? Or what did you want more of, so that I can not fail in the same way? It's all about asking the right questions so you can help make sure that you're giving the best experience possible. And I think success rewards patience. So having that long view horizon for like more of a global thought process, and to scale to that point, that this grind culture is certainly, there's value to grinding and making hay while the sun shines, but it's a simple, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So that's important to reiterate, I think.
It is. And that's why, and I'm sure you see it in the real estate industry as we see in the builder industry, you'll see people come in. So I'm sure you see these agents, superstar agents, they come in, they hit it big. They hit, number one agent in the area, and then they collapse just as quick as they raise up. Right. So, and the reason being is, it's not genuine. What they're doing is not genuine. It's a farce. So you'll see people be successful. The success is not, quick. Success is in longevity and sustained success. So, and you don't have that unless you are being true to yourself and true to clients that you deal with, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah, that's very well said, man. That's very well said. So, I learned that through having mentors and coaches and helping me define what my core values were and stuff like that. Those are things that have been pivotal in my career. How important has coaching and mentorship been been to you in being a part of some of these masterminds and high level communities. Do you think you'd be where you are today without it?
Absolutely not. I will tell you a kind of a funny story, right? So I've had one business coach. He was a real estate developer coach. I hired him, very expensive. It was for 1 year of coaching. I spoke to this gentleman in the 1 year 3 times. 3 times. If I told you how expensive each one of these phone calls were, you'd probably fall out of your seat, right? So I spoke to the guy 3 times. That's all it took. Me talking to this gentleman 3 times, less than 5 minutes each time. 3 quick phone calls, and he changed my life, changed the whole trajectory of my business. He could see something I couldn't see. I'm stuck in my own life, stuck in my daily grind, right? And you can see it clear as day. So having a coach, if you have a good coach, that's pivotal. Now, me, I also, in stating that, didn't take any full use of the coach. So if you're going to get a coach, you've got to take full advantage of it, call, show up, do what he's telling you to do, and go back for more, right? And the thing is, a lot of times they're going to give you something to do. It takes 6 months to do it. You're like, well,
yeah,
okay, well, the amount of stuff you just going to do is going to take me 6 months, and then I'll call you when I'm done with that.
Yeah,
right. That takes time. So, me, that's why. So I didn't feel like it's changed a lot, but I didn't feel a lot because I didn't have the support continual. So joining a community, the GoBundance, and I've joined other ones like Strategic Coach and Chief Executive Network. These other groups are great because you meet monthly, typically in person, or quarterly in person, and you do, Zoom calls, and you start to build relations with these different individuals that are going through the same struggles as you are. And the good thing is, they're not typically right in your local market. So they're not hesitant to share challenges that they're going through and help you overcome challenges that you're going through because they're experiencing the same thing. And there's not the competitive nature because you're in completely different markets. So you're really not competing with each other. So that's what I love about those bigger communities with other driven individuals. So that really has been fantastic for me. Plus, as you get older and you're just in business, you don't have a lot of friendships because all you do is work. So your friends are the people here at your office.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's true, man. They say, competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. So when you're in groups with folks that are doing high level things, and you're able to have conversations that you can't have with, Joe Schmo on the street, or maybe someone you went to high school with or something like that. Because these other folks in these groups and masterminds, they're facing the same challenges as you. And it's nice too, because a lot of us entrepreneurs are, you're like a 1-man army at the beginning until you build your team, but it's nice to talk to other folks doing something similar to you, maybe even in a different industry, to know, we're kind of all dealing with like some of the same challenges and issues, just respective to our industries. So it doesn't feel like kind of so lonely on the journey. So I agree with that, man. Mentorship and coaching has been just huge in my life. I wish I had started it sooner. It always seemed like it was so friggin' expensive. And I was like, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. But the return on it is just, investing in yourself is always the best investment. It just took me so freaking long to figure that out. That's one thing that I would change if I could turn back the clock.
Yeah, I would, mimic that. Although I would say, technology has come a long way since, and unfortunately we're a little bit older, right? So there just wasn't there.
Yeah.
The connectivity, and I wasn't even aware of tons of these different things until probably the last 5 years. The access to all this information has become so abundant these days that, it gets out, 15 years ago, nothing. I didn't even know about any of this stuff,
dude.
Just
what a time to be alive, right? It's
That's
like
right.
These whippersnappers, these kids had it the way we did. If I was 20
They
now,
never make it.
I know. It's like I'd be a millionaire in 6 months if I could start from scratch today. All right, so I want to kind of pivot a little bit to talk about daily habits and mindset of like a high performer like yourself. So what are your non-negotiable daily habits and mindset shifts that you have to stay at the top of your game?
So Morning Miracle was a book I read years ago. And so I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every day is my non-negotiable. So I have to wake up. I have to, go to the gym, meditate, get my head clear, and get to working early because that's when I function best. So, afternoon hits, I don't function. So I like to get as much done before the rest of the world even starts working as possible. And so that was the biggest game changer for me. Then I journal. So reading, forming habits that keep me productive, and then putting triggers around to make sure those habits happen, when they're established. So you have things sitting in a certain place. So it's repetition of doing things the same way over and over and over again. Not spending a lot of time thinking about what I'm wearing or any changes of whatever. So I'll eat the same breakfast almost every single day. Everything with me, my wife tells me I go to my closet, it's all the exact same things. It's just a different color.
It's your uniform.
Right. So these things make no difference to me. So I have very little change, and I just like to keep repetitive nature. And that allows my focus and my energy to be on how do I get to the next level. And then I'm constantly revisiting goals that I'm setting, reviewing progress on those goals, and then reestablishing if I can push that goal farther. And it's just a matter of what can I formulate that I can accept. So people that set goals, when you're at a certain income level, that goal is set only to a certain height because that's as far as your brain can imagine you getting. And then as you eclipse that, then your brain opens up a little more. And then what's the next level? Oh my goodness, I got to that level. Well, where can I go with this? Oh my gosh, let's do this. And then it, how far can you push it? So it's steps and iterations, and that takes reps. That takes a lot of reps. And that's what it takes is you have to push reps on pushing where you feel like you can get yourself to go and what you're capable of doing, accepting that the world is open to whatever you feel like it's, open to providing you, then that's where you're going to go.
Yeah. It's all about, it's really important. I agree to have an abundance mindset and to see it. Pretty much at this point in my life, I realized like anything is possible. And it sounds silly and stupid, but like there's people out there younger than me, dumber than me, that are doing things that are just mind-blowingly huge. So if you can imagine it and dream it, it can happen. But you can only imagine it if your mind has expanded enough to even consider it. So you have to be around people that help you continually think bigger and bigger and bigger. Otherwise, you'll plateau or you'll hit that ceiling because you couldn't even conceive it. You don't even know what you don't know is even an option. So I think that's so important, man. And I like what you said about some of the success is not always sexy. Sometimes it's boring. It's discipline, just, repetition. And that's important. And I certainly can reiterate that because some parts of your life, man, you just got to do the work, and it's just as simple as that. So what, as far as your current business and your focus right now, what are you working on as far as some of your big projects? Where do you think you guys, Timeless, is headed in the next 3 to 5 years?
So right now we're working on multifamily projects, large retail developments, and industrial flex developments. So our focus is on, commercial development, flat work, sports and entertainment right now, sports fields. We're doing quite a few of those, multifamily. And then one of our main niches is retail build outs. And so we work with a bunch of different franchises for that and have partners. And so most of our business is all generated for, we find clients that are looking to continue on some concept. So one of our clients right now has an entertainment where they're building bowling alleys with different entertainment pieces within those, and it'll have an area for entertainment outside and want to replicate that. So we're doing the first one of slated to be 5 of those. Partnering with those groups is great. And then we have another developer that's doing build to rent communities. So we're working with him. Again, it goes back to, does my core values align with their core values? And it's a partnership, give and take. It's not about money. It's about being able to produce something for them. A benefit of it is the money that you make, but we want to be involved in projects that we put our name on, we're proud of. And that's kind of where we are right now. So 3 to 5 year outlook. On top of that's going to be more self-development on our side to build up some footage for us to.
Nice. And I had heard you say at one point, you guys are looking ideally to get to 100 million in the next 1 to 2 years, and then, 400 to 500 million in gross in the next probably 5 years. Did I hear that right at some point?
Yeah. So, our 2032 goal is 400 million in annual revenue. So so basically right now we're on a growth trajectory. About a 40% annual clip is where we have to go, so in order to do that, what we're doing is building all our systems and processes to be able to handle that. So the foresight of what we're doing is everything that I touch. The first question I ask myself, is this what a $400 million company would be doing?
Yeah.
If this person that I'm hiring, is this the type of person that's going to help my company get to $400 million? What position can this person be in? What do I need in a person over here that's going to operate when I have 300 employees instead of right now we have 30, right? So next, what I'm doing right now, and is this person going to be able to handle it? So I'm not hiring the person for now. I'm hiring the person for the future, right? Everything I do encompasses, that's the only question I ask myself. And if it doesn't align with that, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's so wise, and it's so forward thinking too, because some folks say that it's almost easier to X or 100X than to 2X. If you just have to change your frame and think in that bigger, longer horizon. So what are you listening to, or who are you studying, and what books are you reading to get inspiration for a strategy like this big? Because you're not looking around your neighbors. No one in this town is doing anything like that. So where are you going for inspiration and for strategy?
So yeah, I try and minimize getting sucked into news or anything. So I try and take every moment of the day to capture and utilize it in some way. So every time in a car, I'm listening to a book on Audible. So that's all I do. And so, I go through tons of books. I think I've probably so far this year already eclipsed 15 books. It is book after book after book after book. Right now I'm listening to Steve Jobs. I just finished Elon Musk. Those were quite a while. But one of my favorite books is called Driven by Douglas Brackman. I love that book. So it's on epigenetics, and it's about driven individuals and understanding how to harness that and utilize it. I'm also a huge fan of Gino Wickman and his whole traction series, because we operate on EOS.
Yep.
That's been game-changing for me. Atomic Habits was a great book. I've read that 3 or 4 times. It just depends. I love all books. Anything nonfiction that is going to help me better myself, or put a system, or motivate myself, or help me set goals. Anything that aligns with that is good for me, and I'll go for any recommendations. The key for me is to stay on track and continuously be learning and pushing myself into different genres to understand different things. Mm-hmm. So you get sometimes comfortable, and what I'm pursuing, let me just read on real estate investing. Let me just read on business. But that's not going to benefit you. So you need to expand your mind and always be learning and expanding your knowledge base. I mean, right now I'm trying to learn all I can learn about AI and robotics.
Yeah.
That's where I see it going. So if I can be in a position to capture some market share based on, being at the forefront of that in my industry, then that's what I want to do.
Okay. So that kind of leads me to my next question, and I've got one more after that as we're winding down here. Where do you see the biggest opportunities in today's market, and some of the biggest kind of risks? I mean, you're focusing on AI, robotics. What should other new entrepreneurs be paying attention to? That's the obvious. AI is kind of the obvious answer.
Well, I would say AI is it. So if I was starting a business right now, you could be a billionaire one-man business with AI if you understand how to utilize AI properly. And so, what you're going to have is the it's going to be very deflationary moving forward if you can understand, because if you've noticed, as AI going all around and encompassing every industry, it devalues human intelligence. So where someone spends their whole life becoming a specialist, learning all of this knowledge, going for a doctorate, becoming an electrical engineer, all of this stuff, you put yourself against an artificial intelligent being that has access to everything and can instantly process it. That knowledge doesn't mean a whole lot, right?
It's terrifying.
So the key is being able to utilize that technology and create automation through that use of technology and understanding it. And once you own that component, and then you can take that component and profit off of it. And if you're in the forefront of that, then everyone who wants to get in later has to get the quick and easy button through you.
Yeah, you could almost be like the gatekeeper if you're the one who's paying attention.
Right.
I think you have to be able to, the folks that are really going to make giant steps are the ones who understand, A, their industry, electrical engineering, like you said, and then B, how to integrate that with AI, because AI is going to be so freaking smart. It'll tell you everything about electrical engineering, but if you don't have a background in it, you're not smart enough to connect the dots when they do integrate, that intersection will be where billions are made. So I think that's sage advice. And I think, I would agree. AI, it's not really specific to any singular industry at this point. It's just about everywhere.
Still in its infancy right now. So any time invested in understanding it right now is critical, because the pace at which it's moving, things that are happening right now, 3 months is comparable to 10 years in technology leaps, but it's only taking 3 months as opposed to the 10 years. So where it's going to be in another 2 years, it's too late. Take action now or you're going to be left behind. So how I'm trying to make sure that I capture the market share that I'm trying to capture is, I want to be at the forefront of technology and robotics in my industry, because if I'm that, then there's the only way I'm going to win. So I feel like there is no way to beat me if I'm at the forefront of that, and my company, if we're at the forefront of that technology, then how can someone beat us? If we're at the back of it,
yeah, you're in trouble. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm actually a robot, and this is AI that's doing this. I'm actually on the beach in Mexico right now. So
perfect. There you go.
It works. All right, cool, man. Well, listen, I want to be respectful of your time, and where can we find you so people can support you, follow you on your journey to the top, dude, and keep in touch with you? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I would just go to timelessco.com. That's our website. It's actually in redevelopment right now, but timelessco.com, or you can find us on any of the social media platforms. I'm probably not that interesting to talk to, but you're welcome to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. And
okay.
That's it.
If people want to see you dancing out in front of the office on TikTok, we could do that as well.
If you want to see me dancing out front of the office. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, man, that's awesome, dude. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for being here today. Folks, this has been the Build Better Blueprint with Tony Johnson. I'll say the takeaway from today is what a time to be alive, right?
That's right, man. We're killing it. Thanks so much, Christian. I appreciate you having me, man.
Awesome, man. We'll see you next time, Tony. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
That's it, folks. That's our show. Thanks as always for listening. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our channel so you are up to date with the latest episodes. Feel free to share with your friends and keep up the great work. You are on the right path. See you at the top.